Hello, dear soul. Welcome back to SoulScript. Tonight, let the glow of candlelight guide you into a tale of destiny, courage, and a journey to the very gates of hell itself. A story where a child of luck defies the will of a greedy king, and where wisdom is found in the unlikeliest of places. So rest your mind, breathe slowly, and let's begin. There was once a poor woman who gave birth to a little son. When he entered the world, he bore a call, and it was foretold that in his 14th year he would wed the daughter of the king. Not long after, the king himself came into the village. No one recognized him, and he asked what news there was. The villagers replied, "A child has been born with a call. Whatever such a child undertakes will succeed. It is prophesied that in his 14th year he will wed the king's daughter." The king's heart darkened with anger at this prophecy. He went to the parents, pretending to be kind. "You poor people," he said, "let me take the child. I will care for him as my own." At first the parents refused, but when the stranger offered a great sum of gold, they thought, "The boy is a luck child. All will turn out well for him." And so they gave him up. The king placed the child in a box and rode away. When he came to a deep body of water, he threw the box into it, thinking, "Now my daughter is free from this unwanted suitor." But the box did not sink. It floated gently like a boat, and not a drop of water entered it. At last it drifted to a mill dam near the king's own city, where a miller's boy saw it and drew it ashore with a hook. Expecting treasure, he opened the box. Inside lay a beautiful, healthy baby. The miller and his wife, who had no children, rejoiced. They said, "God has given him to us." They raised him with care and love, and he grew into a good and handsome youth. Years later, during a storm, the king sought shelter at the mill. Noticing the tall young man, he asked, "Is this your son?" "No," they replied. "He is a foundling. 14 years ago, he floated down to us in a box, and the mill boy rescued him." The king knew at once this was the very child he had tried to destroy. Feigning kindness, he said, "Good people, could the boy carry a letter to the queen? I will give him 2 gold pieces for the errand." The miller and his wife agreed, and the king wrote a letter. But the letter commanded, "As soon as this boy arrives, he is to be killed and buried. All must be done before I return." The boy set out, carrying the letter. But he lost his way, and as night fell, he saw a light in the forest. It came from a small cottage. Inside, an old woman sat by the fire. Startled, she asked, "Where do you come from, child? And where are you going?" "I am on my way to the queen, but I've lost my path in the woods. May I stay here for the night?" "You poor boy," she sighed. You have wandered into a den of thieves. When they return, they will kill you." But the boy was weary. He said, "Let them come. I am not afraid." He lay down on a bench and soon fell asleep. Not long after, the robbers came home. They shouted angrily, "Who is this stranger?" The old woman pleaded for him, explaining his errand and showing them the letter. They opened it and read the king's cruel order. The robbers felt pity for the innocent youth. Their leader tore up the letter and wrote another, which commanded, "As soon as the boy arrives, let him be married at once to the king's daughter." In the morning, they gave him the altered letter and showed him the way. The queen received it and obeyed the words. A splendid wedding feast was prepared, and the beautiful princess became the boy's bride. She loved him dearly, for he was handsome, kind, and full of charm. When the king returned and saw the prophecy fulfilled, his anger boiled. "How has this happened?" he raged. "I wrote another order." The queen showed him the letter, and he realized it had been exchanged. Furious, he demanded of the youth, "Where is the letter I entrusted you with?" "I know nothing of it. It must have been changed while I slept in the forest." The king clenched his fists. "You shall not keep my daughter so easily. Whoever marries her must fetch me 3 golden hairs from the head of the devil himself. Bring them to me. Only then will you remain my son-in-law." The boy smiled gently. "I will bring the hairs. I am not afraid of the devil." And so he set out. First, he came to a great city. The watchman at the gate asked, "What is your trade, and what do you know?" "I know everything," the boy replied. "Then tell us why our fountain, which once flowed with wine, has run dry and will not even give water." "You shall know," the boy promised, "when I return." In another city, the gatekeeper asked him the same, and begged to know why their golden apple tree had withered and bore no fruit. Again, the boy promised an answer upon his return. At a wide river, the ferryman called to him, "Why must I row back and forth without end, never to be freed?" "You shall know too," the boy replied, "when I come back." At last, he reached hell itself. The devil was away, but his grandmother sat in a great chair. "What do you seek?" she asked. "I must have 3 golden hairs from the devil's head, or I cannot keep my wife." "That is much to ask," she said. "If the devil finds you, it may cost you your life, but I pity you, and I will help." She transformed him into an ant and hid him in the folds of her dress. "There are 3 other questions I would know," the boy whispered. "Why has the fountain dried? Why does the apple tree no longer bear? And why must the ferryman row back and forth without release?" "Be silent and listen well," she said. "When I pluck the hairs, the devil himself will speak the answers." That evening, the devil came home. Sniffing the air, he growled, "I smell the flesh of man." His grandmother scolded him, "You are always imagining things." Sit down and eat." Grumbling, he did so. Then he laid his head in her lap and soon began to snore. She plucked a golden hair. The devil awoke with a cry. "Why did you do that?" "A bad dream," she soothed. "I dreamed of a fountain in a market that once flowed with wine, but now lies dry. What is the cause?" "A toad sits beneath a stone within the well. If they kill it, the wine will flow again." And he slept once more. The grandmother plucked the second hair. The devil growled, "What now?" "I dreamed of a golden apple tree that withers and will not bear fruit. Why is that?" "A mouse gnaws at its roots. If it is slain, the tree will bloom again. But disturb me once more and you'll regret it." Again he slept, snoring so that the walls shook. The grandmother pulled the third hair. The devil leapt up, roaring, "Enough! What dream is it this time?" "I dreamed of a ferryman who rows forever, yet never finds release. Why is that?" "Ha! The fool has only to put the oar into another's hands. Then he will be free, and the other must row in his place." At last, satisfied, the devil sank into heavy slumber. At dawn, his grandmother released the boy, restored to human form. She gave him the 3 golden hairs and repeated the devil's answers. The youth thanked her with all his heart and returned on his journey. He told the ferryman how to be free. He told the people of the city how to save their tree, and another how to restore their fountain. In gratitude, they gave him donkeys laden with gold. At last he returned home, his wife overjoyed to see him again. He presented the hairs to the king. The king, seeing the donkeys burdened with treasure, asked greedily, "Where did you get such wealth?" "On the other side of the river," the boy replied calmly. "Gold lies there like sand upon the shore." The king's eyes gleamed. "Take me there." He hurried to the river and demanded the ferryman row him across. But once they reached the far side, the ferryman placed the oar in the king's hands and leapt ashore. And so the king was left to row forever, back and forth, as his punishment. Perhaps he rows still. And so the luck child lived happily with his bride, and his fate was fulfilled, just as the prophecy had foretold. Good night, dear listener. May your dreams be gentle and your heart at peace.